Crank it up, take on that. Ay, 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 ay. Welcome, everybody, to String Theory. Everything's in my way. Or is it just that I'm a fat, clumsy bastard? Who knows? But we're here live in Ginger's Barn with you on a Wednesday night, 7 p.m. on the live YouTube show where you ask the questions and we attempt to give the answers for all things stringed. So I want to just quickly, as we top of every show, thank our wonderful sponsors, G&G Music, Glen Gotel up in Antigonish, Nova Scotia, Canada, the world's #1 Boucher guitar dealer, also the purveyor of other fine instruments like Lakewood, Recording King, Martin, you name it. He's got all of it and can ship anywhere on the planet. And also Levy Straps, Boucher guitars, of course, Robin, Guillaume, Julian, God bless you guys. Thank you for being around. Levy Straps, and there's a new thing I want to tell everybody here just at the top of the show. A brand new shop in London, Ontario, the home city of my birth. Strings Cafe and Guitar Shop. Phil Kikuchi, a brand new Boucher dealer in London, Ontario. If you haven't, and he's got one of my JP signature models in the store. So if you want to go check that out, and a very exciting announcement today. I was given a full artist endorsement by K&K Pickups. Yes. These guys, if you know me, I've been screaming about K&K Pickups for 15 years. And I'm now a fully endorsed artist by K&K. And I'm actually going to be the artist of the month on their website next month, I'm assuming in September. And that's a big deal because I have K&K in every guitar I own. And I've been telling people to buy them for at least a decade and a half. And they're the best pickups for acoustic guitar on the planet, bar none. And I've been saying that all along. So, yes. So, hello to everybody at K&K out in the western United States there. Hope you're doing well and maybe you have time to watch this. I don't know. But if you do, we love you. We always have. And I'm very proud. It's really cool. And there's another humongous thing happening within the next 7 to 10 days. Might even happen before next Wednesday's String Theory that I'll be telling you about. That's going to be just virtually earth-shattering for me. And so, yeah, it's a lot of cool things going on. So, I wanted to answer there were some questions last week that I wrote down. I'm going to answer them for you now off the top of the show here. I'll make sure my phone is turned off and all that good stuff. People can't yell at me while I'm talking to you. And so the first question I'm going to answer, there was somebody talking about guitar setup and who to watch and who to ask and all these things. There's one guy that I subscribe to on YouTube. His name is Randy Schartiger or Schartiger. I'm not sure how they pronounce the name. He's a good old boy from the South, and he really knows what he's doing. I subscribe to his channel, and he basically fixes guitars on his YouTube channel. All kinds of guitars, from vintage Martins to you name it. So his last name is spelled Schartiger. So go check him out because not only is he a great luthier, he's funny as hell. He's got a long beard, and he's an old mountain guy, and he just knows what he's doing. He knows every trick in the book. There was a company, somebody asked me about, Gurion, I believe it is, a guitar company, but it's defunct, and I don't know anything about it. And so I don't like to speak on anything I can't get my hands on. So I will keep my eye out. If I ever do see one, I'll be sure to pick it up and try it. But they're not made anymore, so they're... Yeah, so that's that. Sorry I couldn't help you there. We had a lot of help with the question about the earliest frets on guitars. And they were indeed bone for some of them. And also I was told, and I knew this as well and forgot, that they used to tie frets around with catgut. The frets were actually pieces of gut wrapped around the neck to intimate frets. Those were the earliest chordophone instruments. And the last thing that came up, I think, that night was, last week, it was a question about the cage system. And I didn't know anything about it, and it's no wonder I didn't, because it's how I play. I was reading about the cage system before the show started, and I was like, I don't understand the question, because this is how you're supposed to play the guitar anyway. And basically, I know that it's more in depth than this, and the people that probably make money from teaching it want to make it a bit more complicated. But the premise is that you learn the chords below the 5th fret and then move them up the neck, and learn how to play the closed notes, or how to close off the open notes that move with the chord. That's how I play. It's how everybody plays. You play in shapes, right? You don't play just arbitrary things. Like, you're working out of a chord shape. No matter where you are in the neck, you're thinking, this is a barred A chord that is actually a B, or this is a barred E minor chord at the 12th fret that's actually an E minor. A barred A at the 8th fret is a C minor, and on it goes. I definitely play that way. That's how anybody who studies the neck of the guitar should play. So I don't know when it became named as a system. It seems like a gimmick to me, but there you go. There's the questions and the answers from last week that I needed to research, and I'm glad you asked them, and they're great questions. And as always, these are just my opinions. You can just tell me to stuff them straight up my arse. I don't care. But I'll tell you what I think, and then we'll have a good laugh over it. So there you go. All right. Ginger, how are we doing over there? It looks really, holy God.
All kinds of things.
It's busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's busy.
Already.
Okay.
So first up is Tim Bennett. It's our first super chat question.
Tim Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
That's not our Taiwan guy, is it?
I think he's back in Nova Scotia now.
Oh, okay, Tim. How are you doing?
So he's wondering what your thoughts are on Tacoma guitars and offset sound holes.
I've owned a Tacoma guitar. They were an Asian-made guitar, factory-made guitar. Offset sound holes, I don't see any great benefit to them. Tacoma did it. McPherson does it. Ovation tried it. And the premise is that they're mathematically taking the exact space that's taken up by a normal sound hole and changing the shape of it and putting it somewhere else on the guitar. Well, closer to the face, right? In the top shoulder of the guitar is supposed to be, whatever. I don't think it works. I don't think it really, it definitely doesn't increase projection, because their premise is that the more top you have, the more vibration you have. But that's not true, because if it was, Martin would have done it 100 years ago. The flamenco guitar builders and classical guitar builders 200 years ago would have done it. They don't do that. And I would also mention like companies like Yamaha, who mathematically came to the size and shape of their guitars, which is quite a bit different than their standard Martin Dreadnought. They did a mathematical built on circles that creates the shape of their bodies. And if they had thought back then in the mid 60s that moving the sound hole and putting soundboard where it normally isn't would have created more volume and projection, they would have done it. It's an experiment that I believe kind of failed. If you want my honest opinion about it. Even as far as McPherson's, I've played a lot of McPherson's and I hate them. They're not good sounding guitars. They're very quiet. They're tinny. They have no projection whatsoever. They're designed for plugging in, and that's about it. And also, I'll say this again: the idea of enlarged sound holes is the same crock of bullshit as the move sound hole for me. I've owned several guitars with large sound holes. It doesn't make any difference. And people who tell you it does, they're not listening. What's happening when you enlarge a sound hole, same way they're mathematically trying to find out how large this bizarre new sound hole should be. Ovation did it as tiny holes. They took the math and they built several holes that added up to the exact size of the normal sound hole. So, but there's a reason for the size of that sound hole, and it has to do with bracing and soundboard. So if you enlarge the hole, you're taking wood away from the soundboard, which is your speaker. It's just like a cone in a stereo speaker. So if you're taking material away from that, there's less to vibrate. It doesn't do anything to the sound. If anything, it may make the guitar quieter. One of the most famous large sound hole guitars on the planet, Tony Rice's D28 Herringbone. I've heard that guitar from 6 feet away and could barely hear it. It had no projection. But if you get 2 feet away from it, it tears your face off. That's what it does. And I think that all large sound hole, older guitars that you cut sound holes out of, well, it might do that. But I have a 15-year-old Martin Clarence White Memorial with a large sound hole. The guitar sounds incredible, but right beside it, I could play a regular D28 sound just the same. So there's no, what is the difference between losing all that material around the hole and not? So yeah, it's a good question. And Tacoma and Ovation and McPherson and several other companies that have fooled around with the mathematics of that hole placement have stirred things up for us as guitar players, but I don't really believe they actually did anything worthwhile. Or if they did, every company would be doing it, and every boutique luthier would do it. So there you go. That's a long answer, but it's an interesting question, and I wanted to flesh that out. So who's next?
I've got a second super chat question from Stevie McIntyre.
Stevie McIntyre, top fan.
He says, is there a gig or venue that you've never played but would love to?
Carnegie Hall.
Fancy.
My uncle played there, Uncle Joe, who was playing the fiddle. He was our theme music tonight. He played Carnegie Hall, and a lot of my friends have played it. Ashley, Natalie, a lot of the American players that I knew, they've played there, and I'd like to play there, and I'd like to play at Massey Hall in Toronto. That's one of my dreams, just because of Lightfoot playing there every year. He goes back there every year for I don't know how many years now, 40 I think at least. So, or maybe 50. He's 81 years. Oh yeah, it'll be 50 years he's been playing there.
Play a show with Lightfoot.
What?
Play a show with Lightfoot.
Yes, wouldn't that be a dream come true? Never
thing.
happened, but we can dream. Who's next?
Yeah, it would be a thing. So it's Caper Away.
Caper Away.
Have you ever tried the Lore guitars?
Yeah, I owned a Lore for a short time, about maybe 7 years ago, something like that. I was enthralled with their mandolins. The story behind Lore is interesting. It's a Chinese company, of course. Matter of fact, it's owned by the same company that does Recording King. And Lore, what happened was, at some point in the 90s, after Bill Monroe died, they took the mandolin to, I can't remember which hospital. It was a very famous hospital. And they ran the mandolin through a MRI on high resolution. And they took that mandolin apart inside this MRI to see exactly how it was built, the exact dimensions of every single brace, this exact thickness of the top, the back, the sides, the denseness of the scroll, the denseness of the neck, the depth of the frets, they took every possible measurement that they possibly could with this MRI image. And it ended up in the hands of Chinese builders, and they started to build mandolins based on this MRI of Monroe's mandolin. This is how I understand this happened. And because Monroe's mandolin, of course, was a Lloyd Loar, a 1923, I believe, Lloyd Loar, this mandolin's worth well over $1 million, and there's only about 175 of them left in the world, I think. They called this mandolin the Loar, and I bought the mandolin first, and I was very impressed with it, but it was short-lived because it didn't keep its tone or its presence for very long, less than a year, and it started to just kind of die, and I didn't like the sound of it anymore. And I had bought one of their guitars. Now the guitar I thought was great. It was a small body. It was the highest end one they had. It was a small body Sunburst, very beautiful guitar, well made. It sounded really cool, and it was a very nice guitar. And I sold it, of course. I traded it to somebody for something or other. And I've always been kicked myself in the arse a little bit for selling that guitar, because I don't believe they even make that model anymore, and which is a bit sad because it was a really nice guitar, and it of course was based on an early Gibson as well, right? So I don't know where they are now in the business. I've looked online recently at those guitars, and saw that there wasn't really the same selection of models that there used to be. And they don't seem to be as ornate as or detailed as the original instrument, like the first batch of them that came out. So I don't know. I'd probably stay away from them at this point, because I don't know. You don't see them anymore in stores, so it's it's not something I would mail order for sure. But they used to, when I first got my hands on them, they were very impressive, for very little money. So I think that was sort of the beginning of the Chinese invasion of North America. Those companies, and companies like Eastman, which has also, their game is way up. Like I play their mandolins exclusively because they make the best mandolins that I've ever seen for the money, and just incredible instruments, and their guitars are smoking too. So they started out much the same way, building cellos. Actually, they're better known for their arch-top jazz guitars and cellos than they are mandolins and guitars, but they're coming out with more guitar models and mandolin models all the time. And I think those factories are probably related somehow. They're all passing information back and forth, and so if you can find one of the original Loars that came out about 10 years ago, I would probably buy that. If it was one of the dark tobacco Sunburst, they're very ornate. I think it had a flower pot or a torch inlay on the headstock. Looked like a Gibson, right? An old L series Gibson maybe, or something like that. I'm not so familiar with the antique models of the Gibson, like Mother Maybelle used to play and all those things. But yeah, they were pretty cool. So yeah, who's next?
Next is Doug Law.
Doug Law back in the house.
Hi JP, I have an Eastman Parlor. What's your opinion? Mine's an E20P.
I just gave it. I think Eastman guitars are awesome. I am dying to get my hands on the D40. It's especially in the dark Sunburst version of it. It looks like a pre-war 41. It's got all the abalone around the outside and front, and has the snowflake inlay and the torch on the headstock. And a beautiful guitar. There was one in Toronto at the 12th fret for, I think, about 2 years, and nobody wanted it. And I was perplexed why nobody bought that guitar. And I would go in there and play it all the time. And it wasn't a loud guitar, but it had a lot of punch. And you could just tell if you played it and give it a little TLC, it was well made. That it would eventually open up into something really cool. And if it didn't, it would still have that beautiful dark punchy sound that you could that K&K would translate perfect, or a good studio microphone, because I seldom ever play into a mic live. So yeah, I love Eastman, and there's a bunch of new models coming out of Eastman in this year or next. I saw them at NAMM in California in January, and there's one of them that's incredibly ornate. It's adorned all in maple leaves. So I'm kind of hoping that they intend to market that guitar in Canada more than anywhere else. So yeah, Eastman is a great company. I love their mandolins. I've played their mandolins for years now. I have a matching set. I have an F style and an A style of the same model, and so and they're just incredible. Outfitted with K&K pickups again. See what I mean? Like that. My world of instruments keeps running into each other all the time, and that's why I gravitated towards Eastman as well, because they use K&K, and they sound incredible plugged in. These mandolins just kick butt all night long. And matter of fact, the A style, I had Ray Legier play it at a bluegrass festival last summer, and he loved it. He was like, "Wow, this thing's really, incredible for the money that it is." And he's an A style fan. Like, he plays a Nugget that's 30 or 40 or 35 years old now or something, at least 35 years old, because I was with him when he won it, and I was 16, I think. And so he's been known as an A-style player all his life, and he loved the Eastman A-style. And so you can't go wrong with them, I don't think. I've never seen... I may have seen their parlor. I've seen their slope shoulders. I've seen... the 12th fret Toronto carries them, a whole bunch of different ones. So yeah, I have come across them, and like I say, there's not one thing in the world wrong with those guitars. They're great value and reasonably priced for the amount of work, they're built by luthiers in really good shops. So who's next?
Jason Newman.
Jason Newman. Jason.
Yes, he's a member.
Yes. How are you doing, buddy? I made fun of you last week. Hurt your feelings. Sorry.
Here's a non-technical question.
You got to learn me. I only pick on you if I love you.
He's just wondering how the Skinner's Pawn Show was.
It was fair. It was surreal and weird. There was no people there, really. Like, not compared to a normal show. Like, it was just really weird. I'm not too keen on playing live anymore. It's too strange, and it's too...
Right now.
Yeah, it's too weird. So I miss it. I miss the people. And that's why I'm not too hyped on doing it, because I don't get to see enough people. And I can't touch them, and I can't really talk to them very much, and it's just really weird. It's an unpleasant vibe for me as a performer. I'd rather be, we can't do things the way they were for now, but we're definitely looking at having to face a new protocol, a new world for 2 or 3 years, and I'd rather wait until there's a vaccine and there's whatever has to happen, and so we can all get back together the way things were, because the shine is definitely gone off of stage for me, and that's why, because I miss my people. I miss the folks. So yeah. Who's next?
The Happy Knot.
The Happy Knot.
Mm-hmm. Says, I have 2 acoustic guitars, a Tack and a Seagull. I'm just wondering your thoughts or experiences with these 2 brands.
Well, Tack I've used all my life, because they are the Swiss Army knife of guitars. I have a custom-made Tack 12-string on the wall here I've had for years, and I'll never part with it. And Takamine guitars as a guitar, they're garbage. They're horrible. They're just garbage. But here, you don't sugarcoat it, Megan says. Here's the deal, though. They make one of the best piezo pickups ever, and that's where they shine, right? They're not designed to play acoustically. They're just not. They just don't sound good, and they're not built to sound good acoustically. They're built to to be road warriors, and that's what they're for. And they do it better than just about anybody. The only person that does it better is Ovation. Ovation is indestructible, and Takamine is virtually the same. That you could drive a truck over a tack and it would still play, and that's what they're for. That's why Garth Brooks used them, right? Because he beats the crap out of his instruments. He throws them at the audience and give them away at the end, and that's what they're for. Now, here's a little tidbit for you. Another Morning was recorded exclusively with a Takamine. That's the guitar that was on that record. It was the only guitar I had at the time. And it was a high-end guitar. But it still sounded like it didn't sound good. We had a hard time mixing it. It looked beautiful. It was one of the Nashville series. And a young man down in Bridgewater, I think, bought it years and years ago and has it down there somewhere. But the guitar I used on that big album was a Tack. It was I don't remember the model number, but it was a beautiful guitar. It was a beautiful looking guitar. And it played well. Like the neck was nice, because they also do that well. Like they're designed for working. That's it, right? And as for Seagull, I don't have an opinion about Seagull. Seagull they're okay, right? They're to me, they're a good guitar for somebody who's just learning. There's some of them that are freaks that are really good, as any company. But like, I wouldn't buy a Seagull. I just wouldn't. They're about the same. I feel the same way about them. They're a road guitar. You wouldn't really record with a Seagull, although you could. I'm sure there's Seagulls out there that sound awesome. That they have a good day. It's not built on a Friday. And it comes out of the thing and it's just like, wow, this thing's killer. It happens all the time. But generally speaking, they're not really, you just don't see them out. You just don't see them out on the road a lot. They're like a nice high-end guitar for somebody who's learning, or somebody who doesn't tour and just wants to play in the house. And they're Canadian made, so you can't fault them, right? They're a Canadian company. And it's nice to support Canadian companies. So they're not bad. They're not a bad guitar. They're just not what I would take on the road for a number of reasons. Sound, playability. They're just, they are what they are, and they serve a good purpose where they are in that niche. So there you go.
It's your brother Joe.
Joe Cormier. Mm-hmm. Say it.
I don't know what he's talking about. I'm a little concerned.
Uh-oh.
About what this is.
Oh boy. Is it dirty?
I don't know.
Oh
it's
boy.
an acronym.
Oh boy.
I'm not sure. Just tell us about the Gitjo you invented while in the southern states.
Well, I didn't invent the Gitjo. It was what a Gitjo is well, in my case, what it was I took a guitar and removed the big E and A strings and put a little E as the fifth string.
Oh, like a guitar banjo.
And and played it and tuned it and played it as a banjo, which sounded incredible. And I still do that. I've actually had one of those things around forever. And geez, you know what? That's what I might do with this little guy.
Oh.
Yeah, that one. Don't say the name, but that one.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Sorry.
That guitar.
I didn't invent it. I saw the first one I ever saw was played by Sonny Osborne. And it wasn't a guitar body. It was actually a little dobro body. So it was a resonator body with a 5-string banjo neck on it. Holy God, it sounded good. And he could play the crap out of it. And then the next guy I saw play was Alan Sheldon, who played with Jim and Jesse. And again, the sound of it, whoa, it's so good. And then John Hartford also played one. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that Gold Tone makes one, which is another Chinese company that makes tremendous instruments. My dobro is a Gold Tone, and a Paul Beard model. and it smokes. It's a great dobro, and I'm pretty sure that they make one of those, a Gitjo, or a Gitbro, or whatever they call it. I don't know, but it's a 5-string dobro or something they call it. But it's a dobro, a small dobro body, all made out of walnut or mahogany, with a 5-string banjo neck on it. When I do it, I don't have the 5-string neck. I just have a guitar neck with the 5th string going all the way to the nut, which is a little inconvenient because the notes are five frets off everywhere on the neck. Because normally the 5th string starts at the 5th fret on the banjo. So it's a little difficult sometimes to play things on it that I would play on the banjo. But if you're just doing straight banjo-y things without fretting that 5th string, it sounds fine. But yeah, I didn't invent it. I wish I had have, but I just copied an instrument that I saw that I loved, and I couldn't figure out how to do it any other way. So that's how I did it. So there you go. Who's next?
Kevin O'Hanley.
Kevin O'Hanley.
So I'm having a problem with intonation when I put the capo on. There isn't a mark on any of the frets. Could it be the bridge placement?
On what instrument? The banjo?
Yeah. Mm.
Well, if it's because Kevin's a tremendous banjo player. If it's the banjo, Kev, it's the bridge. It's because your bridge is in the wrong place. And the way to check that is to make sure that the harmonics at the 12th fret are exactly in tune with this note fretted. So you hit the harmonic and then fret it and hit it. And if they're not exactly the same note, then your bridge is in the wrong place. If the fretted note is too high, the bridge goes back towards the tailpiece. If the fretted note is too low, the bridge goes away from the tailpiece. And that's how you set it up. Now, if it's a guitar, that's a serious action problem. That means that your action's too high. Way too high. Because a capo should never stretch a guitar string enough to pull it out of tune except for the big E. And if your action's really awesome, it won't even stretch that out. So that requires either truss adjustment or saddle adjustment. Or could even be a nut adjustment if the strings are too high at the nut. All these factors play into the strings getting stretched when the capo goes on. And by the way, there's no such thing as a guitar that stays in tune with a capo on it. I have the best guitars in the world sitting in this room, some of the best I've ever seen and heard. But I still have to retune, no matter where I'm at. If you're live, it doesn't matter. It's all kind of relative. Maybe both guitar players put a capo on, but we always check our tuning when we capo. We always do. I mean, you have to when you're recording, because there's no way. It doesn't matter how good the guitar is or how good the action is. When you put that capo on, it's going to go sharp. It is. But it's relative. It's how much do you notice the sharpness when you're in performance. You notice it a lot when you're recording, but on the stage, you might get away with it a little bit more. So, like I come from the school, as do you, Kevin, that, you know, the bluegrass school where we all stood backstage and tuned to a strobe tuner, or a pitch pipe, or a fork, an A fork, right, or something, anything, and just tuned, and that was it for the night. You went out and played 45, 50 minutes, and that was it. And you had to tune on the fly by ear and make sure, you know, and you learn your instrument. You learn what strings go sharp and what don't when you put a capo on, and what key. Maybe the banjo goes worse out of tune in B than A, and on that goes. So it all goes back to what I say to people all the time: is know your instrument, know your instrument, know how it works. Like the Mona Lisa here, my signature model Boucher. This thing, I know this guitar like the back of my hand. I know everything it does, all of its little quirks, which are few and far between, but to me they're endearing. Like I know what she'll do exactly when I do a certain thing. I know how she reacts, and every great guitar is like that. They all have a personality. They all have a set of parameters that they work the best under, and they show their stresses the same way every time. So. Anyhow, I hope that helps, Kevy. I love you, brother. I hope to see you soon. And we are checking the mailbox, just so you know. We haven't seen anything yet, but we'll tell you when we do. So,
Next is Chris Murphy.
Chris Murphy. The purple puppet. Never mind. Okay.
Okay then. So on the topic of pickups, I know you're more of a purist when it comes to mandolin, Mike being best, but can you recommend any mandolin pickups as a necessary evil for playing in a band situation?
K and K. K and K. K and K. Both of my mandolins have K and K in them. And I'm telling you, you can't beat it. It's no longer necessary evil with those guys. I've tried every mandolin pickup that exists. All of them. Fishman, Bag, you name it. Everything. Shirtler, Shadow. They're all horrible. They make the mandolin sound like broken glass. And the K&K sounds just like your mandolin. And there may be depending on the instrument, there may be a slight mid spike that you just take it out of your EQ. Like I put my mandolin right through my Fishman amp. I use Fishman because it's the cleanest sound. It's the flattest amp, right? And so I just go in there and dip the mid back a little bit, bip, 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 maybe a little treble off. Boom. The mandolin sounds just full of wood and full of just tone and color because they're contact pickups. They're glued inside to the top. So they have no choice but to transmit what the instrument actually sounds like. So you can't go wrong with them, and the cost of them is incredibly low. Like compared to other systems, they're often $100 less than anything else you could buy. You don't have to cut holes in the top. You don't have to have wires running into your F holes. It's a single end pin jack. Boom, you're done. Out, buy, no battery, no preamp. You can go right into a DI with them. So there you go. K&K all the way. Who's next?
John from Ireland.
John from Ireland. I don't want to play a fiddle tune.
He's wondering what your favorite solid body electric guitar is.
Telecaster. Next question.
Wait, easy enough.
Sorry. It is. I love tellies. I love tellies because I just love tellies. I love James Burton. I love Albert Lee, who doesn't play tellies. He plays Peavies actually now, but Telecasters are just my favorite sound, and the Buck Owens thing and that whole deal. And tellies were the only things I ever seen with toys on them, like the B-bender, the machinery that you pull the guitar down. The strap button's a lever that flats and sharps your B, and a G puller that comes out of the back, and you tilt the guitar this way and it pulls the G, so you can do all these steel guitar chords without actually moving, just moving the guitar around. That kind of technology I've only ever seen in a Telecaster. And I just love that. And they just, I don't know, they get a big meaty neck, round meaty neck, bigger than the Strat, and there you go. Yeah. I played one for years in the States, and I just never get over them. My two favorite electric guitars in the world are the Telly and the Gretsch, the Country Gentleman. Best electrics I've ever seen. So, yeah. Who's next?
Big Fuzz Tone.
Big Buzz Tone?
Fuzz.
Oh, Big Fuzz Tone.
Yes.
Big Fuzz Tone.
I was wondering if you're a fan of old blues guitar players like Robert Johnson and Muddy Waters.
Hell yeah. Oh, man, am I ever. Leadbelly, Robert Johnson. Oh, man, Jesus. Me and Gunning, there's a channel on Stingray called Delta Blues, I think. And that's all it is those guys. And you discover somebody every time you listen to that. There is so much music to be discovered inside that genre. And those guys played such incredible guitar. You hear it and you don't, if you're not clued in, to what's going on, you could just bypass it and go, well, that's whatever. The guy's just banging on the guitar. No. There's a lot of stuff going on there that we don't even know what they're doing. Tunings and just bizarre things. Like, there was a reason they said Robert Johnson sold his soul. Because he really did play things that were incredible. And on zero technology, probably a horrible guitar. No microphone to speak of, just terrible equipment they were recording him with. And he just pulled it all off. Leadbelly the same way. Built his own 12-string in prison. Like, he was one of the greatest guitar players that ever lived, Leadbelly. He basically invented ragtime guitar. and which then gave birth to players like Leo Kottke and David Cohen, and on it goes, right? All most of the music that we're dealing with right now came from that whole genre. You know, we wouldn't have had Merle Travis without Robert Johnson. We wouldn't have had Chet Atkins without Merle Travis. And on that goes, right? It goes right back to that magic time when there was the black players. Man, oh man, oh man. They really knew something that we don't know. Especially today, when we're trying to figure some of that stuff out. It's daunting because some of it's so poorly recorded, it's hard to hear. And then the protocol and the style that they were using to get what they wanted, there was no rules, so we can't look at our own rules to figure out what they were doing, because they were making things up as they went. And some of it was right down to how they tuned the guitar, maybe not in standard tuning at all, or it's just that sort of thing. So it's so fascinating, and so much soul and drive and rhythm. You can learn the rudiments of delivery from listening to the Delta Blues. I can tell you that right now. So yeah, I'm a massive, massive fan of it. Love it. Who's next?
Herschel Rector.
Herschel Rector? What?
Rector.
Is this a joke name or what?
Oh, the way you pronounce it.
Oh, sorry. Herschel Rector.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have an opinion about guitars handmade from white oak by independent luthiers, or about the sound of white oak?
I don't know.
No.
I've never heard of that. Did he say guitars are built out of white oak?
White oak.
Wow. I never knew they were. It doesn't surprise me. We can build a guitar out of anything. The back and the sides, just you're looking for density, and that's it. And every wood is different, so every wood's going to deliver a different kind of tone. So white oak, I would imagine, would be incredibly dense, like maybe harder and more brittle than even maple or Brazilian rosewood or cocobolo or anything like that. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna make a note of that right now. White oak guitar wood. I'll do that. I'm gonna find out about that, because it doesn't surprise me. Because I mean, geez, you can go online and find guitars made out of every kind of exotic thing you can possibly imagine. I've just never heard of oak. I would have thought it would be too heavy as well. Oak is incredibly heavy, and that's not a very good trait for an acoustic guitar. But maybe they know how to do it a certain way to avoid that. But good question. I'll have the answer next week. I'll have an opinion for you. Who's next?
Acoustic Guitar Canada.
All right. We got our T-shirts, didn't we?
I got mine.
Yes. We got our T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for that.
They want to know what your favorite model of Capo is.
Right now my favorite one is my G7. I don't have it here with me, but it's their new page style capo. It's gold. It's a thumb screw type capo that just stays on the neck. You can push it over the nut and put it away. Just stays there. I love it. It's a great capo, a very great capo. And also Shub makes a similar one, but it's about $100. And they make one that's the same amazing quality. I like those kind of capos, but then I use everything. I'm a big fan of Kaiser. I can't help it because Kaiser's so fast. It's just, when you're on stage, boom, it's on there. And Shub. I use Shub on my banjo. I use Shub. I got a Shub sitting on my Yamaha over there. The only thing I don't use is, I stay with the main names, right? Although, now mind you, another one of my favorite capos is sitting right here, I believe. There it is right there. Planet Waves by D'Addario. And these are really, really slick, and they work incredibly well. And they're pressure sensitive. You can set them up you can just put them on there and just ease them right on however you want them. They're fast, they're light, they don't interfere with the guitar or your hand. Great, great capo. Like, there's so many of them. There's no such thing as a bad capo unless you start using like the old Dunlop elastic band ones or Hamilton or whatever the hell. Like, yeah, you can pretty well bet your bottom dollar that the only thing I would stay away from is the things I don't like are the spring type capos that also have a spring. They also have a thumb screw adjustment. I think that's a kind of overkill and dumb. You got to do one or the other. You're either going to do one like this or a shove where you adjust it, then put it on, or a straight spring like a Kaiser or G7 or Page. To combine the things doesn't make any sense to me. It's too much hardware, and I don't think they usually don't pull the strings down hard enough for me. Also, any clamp capos that are like protruding off the neck and they look like friggin' antennas, and you're gonna catch the baseball game on the top of your guitar when you get the thing on there. That's bullshit. Stay away from the gimmicks. Just use things that work, and there's a lot of them that do. So I named a bunch of them. They're all fantastic. So there you go. Just stay away from the fancy looking those things. There's no need of that. I don't want like to fish marlin with my capo on. There's no need of that. Get it out of my way. Get it out of here. All right. Who's going?
I get John again from Ireland.
John in Ireland.
Mm-hmm. He's wondering if you have an opinion on the main Irish guitar builders, Loden, Avalon, and Gilroy.
Who was the second two?
Loden, Avalon, and McGilroy.
I don't know the other two. I've heard of Avalon. Loudon, of course, is a legend. And unfortunately not a guitar I would play. And the only reason I wouldn't play one is because Loudons don't sound like any other guitar on the planet. They are truly an instrument unto themselves, which is really saying something for Loudon, because it's nearly impossible to build a guitar in a traditional way that delivers some other tone besides what you're used to hearing from a dreadnought or jumbo style body. Their guitars sound like Loudons, and I love the sound, but it doesn't fit what I do. Now Gunning has a Loudon, and he used it for most of our album together. And here's another reason Loudon shines, is because they're so incredibly unique. When I played my Boucher and Yamaha and Stonebridge at the time against that Loudon, the two sounds just intermix perfectly, because sonically the Loudon is so different than a normal guitar that a normal guitar can just sit right inside it almost, and Loudon just dances all around the normal frequencies that come out of a straight dreadnought guitar. I love the known one because I really not overtones and the other things, like they're really something spectacular. I've heard of Avalon, but
Box time.
Oh, did our box time? Mm-hmm. Can you still hear us now? I hope. We good now? Did I just spend 5 minutes going and nobody heard me? Are we up? We good?
Not sure. Hang on. Not yet. Low audio. Okay, now. We're good.
We're good?
They say it's quiet.
We're almost done anyway. We had a battery failure, so sorry, but we're okay. We should be okay here. We've got the microphones on the iPhone there. Should be fine. I think I'm good now, eh?
Just convert to sign language. Okay, it's better now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, guys, but anyhow, I love Loudon. I don't own one. Gunny owns one. I love his. But I personally, they don't fit my style of music. I guess. I don't know if that's probably a fair thing to say. I'd love to have a Loudon, but I'm not sure if I would use it as much as my other guitars. So, anyhow, we're getting close to the end anyway. We only got about 10 minutes left, so how are we doing there now?
We get a question from Will Sanger about coated strings.
Yes.
What's your opinion? Coated strings.
I couldn't live without them. I can't play normal strings. If I put a regular set of strings on my guitar, they would die in the first 15 minutes of the first set. I'd have to change them after the first set. So they're useless. So I've switched to Elixir 20 years ago when they first came out. So, and I think I've answered this in an earlier episode, but there's really nothing that beats Elixir. Phosphor bronze nanoweb, light gauge. That's all I use. I have a bunch of 80/20 here Elixir, but I think they're fake. I put a set on my guitar and they died, and that's never happened. So I got them from Amazon. I don't know if they're real or not. They don't seem to be behaving like real Elixirs. So, yeah. But Elixir, you can't beat them. There's another, Diodario's doing one too now that's an extended life coated string. And I thought those are pretty damn good. They're not Elixirs. They don't last as long as Elixirs, but they do sound good, and they seem to last. I'm not sure if they're they were more expensive, or can't remember. They're pretty close. Elixirs are not cheap, but that's because they last forever, and I just like the way they sound. I've never heard a bad set of them, and I really, as a guy who's coming from using high-end strings all my life, and I mean really high-end stuff. I used to use only GHS phosphor bronze, Diodario, John Pierce, they're handmade strings. I've used Vinci and all this stuff that Rice used, and they're better. They're just better strings. They sound better, they last longer, and they don't break as often. I don't know why. They just do. So I've been using them for almost 20 years, and I can't switch back. Every time I put a normal set of strings on my guitar, I regret it immediately. Not only for the playability, they're scratchy and sticky, and you can't move your hand, but they die immediately. Like I have a really bad pH level in my sweat, and as soon as I touch them, gone. So there you go. That's coated strings. Yes.
Time to go next Friday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next Friday is big news. Live show next Friday. Now, are we going to do a afternoon, you think 4 o'clock maybe?
I think so.
I think we're going to do it at 4 p.m. Atlantic time next Friday. Not this coming Friday, the Friday after. We're going to do a live fiddle concert with Kim Holmes and Skip Holmes here in the studio with me. 90 minutes of fiddle. And we're going to do it at 4 p.m. so we can reach the people in the UK. Because I have a lot of friends in Scotland, Shetland, and all through there that they'll want to see it, I'm pretty sure, I hope. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't done an entire fiddle show in probably 20 years. So we're actually rehearsing, because I have to get back in shape if I'm going to pull this off. So yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll be able to talk to you, I think, when we're doing this. You can chat to us if you want. Might be able to take a few requests, but we're just going to, me and Kim and Skip are just going to sit here in this room with the mics on, and we are going to play our buttocks off for an hour and a half. So it's going to be a wicked, wicked show. I'm actually really excited about this, because I haven't done it in so long. I got the old fiddle out, and she's sitting here waiting to run. So also, so now we're going to talk about our prize this week, which, as normal, is from G&G Music up in Antigonish, our buddy Glenn Gotel. And if you get the answer to this trivia question right, you'll receive a beautiful Levy's leather strap, custom strap with the G&G logo on it. A free set of strings of your choice for guitar or whatever instrument you want, really. And winder, string winder, and anybody who buys a Boucher over there this month gets a free pickup install. $400 value, free pickup. That's a big deal. So, and Glenn also deals K&K. So he can do K&K and Fishman, whatever you'd like. I would suggest strongly K&K, especially for a Boucher. They're the best thing you could ever put in it. So a free $400 pickup with any Boucher purchase at G&G Music. Our buddy Glenn is up there waiting on you. So here's the question. This might probably, like I always think that I pick a hard question, but then somebody gets it before I finish talking. So, yeah, hell with you. Anyhow, you all know who my favorite fiddler is.
Batman.
Batman.
Michael according to that.
Batman. You all know who my favorite fiddler is of all time. His name was Winston Scotty Fitzgerald. Greatest Cape Breton fiddler that ever lived, period, in my opinion. What was the name of the town where Winston Scotty Fitzgerald was born? The birthplace of Fitzgerald. Winston Fitzgerald's hometown. I may have stumped him this time. You'd have to be a real Fitzgerald head to know that. Although it is common knowledge. Oh boy, it's taken a long while.
Got nothing yet.
Nothing. Nobody has a thing. Ha! Yeah, gotcha. I knew I'd get one sooner or later.
We got Badet, Kittyville, White Point.
White Point, who has that?
John DeLore.
John DeLore. You are the winner. White Point, Cape Breton Island. So John, is John DeLore?
Mm-hmm.
Has he won before? No. No, he hasn't.
I don't think so.
Don't know the name. John, what you're going to do right now is send an email to jpcormier38@gmail.com. And just with the answer, White Point, mention who you are. I'll forward your information up to Glenn. He'll get you your stuff. He'll send it to you if you can't make it over there. You can go down there and meet him in person and get it. It's a great shop if you want to go see it. It's amazing. So John DeLore, you're our winner with White Point, Cape Breton Island. And I also forgot to say earlier today, I usually forget, if you enjoy all this stuff and you want to send us a couple bucks, I know people are doing Super Chat, which is really cool. You can send us a few dollars at jpcormier38@gmail.com by e-transfer, or go to paypal.me/jpcormiermusic. If you want to help us out, support us, it's fantastic. You guys have been taking care of us now for 6 months, and we really appreciate it. So, anyhow, there was the answer. Winston Fitzgerald, greatest fiddler ever, born in White Point, Cape Breton Island. And John DeLore is our winner. I'll wait for your email, brother. jpcormier38@gmail.com. That's where you want to write to right now. Anyhow, one more question, May. Who we got?
Oh, I wasn't ready for that. It was just, let's see here.
There's so many.
Oh, this is chat. I'm just chatting with people.
I know. Well, people talk to each other on here. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like a big party here every Wednesday night.
Okay, I found one.
Okay.
Were there any common mistakes?
Who is it?
Oh, Haley Van Buskirk.
Oh, I know that. I know you. Haley, yes.
Were there any common mistakes on guitar you made as a beginner?
All of them. How many do you want? I'll make you a list. All of them. Every mistake. Every guitar player makes every mistake when they're a beginner. That's the whole point. You make the mistakes so you can identify them and stop doing them. But I'll just not to make too long an answer of it, but I can tell you one thing for sure right now. The biggest mistake that I made, that I wish I hadn't made, is I didn't learn to warm up properly. And about 23 years into playing, I had totally crippled myself and had to have surgery on both hands. And the reason was I didn't learn to warm up. I used to pick my guitar up and just start playing and go nuts, and then toured like that for years and years. And I should have learned. I should have developed a regimen, even as a child, to go through scales, to do something, just to do anything to get warmed up before you start really putting the pressure on your hands and your arms and your body. So that's the one mistake that I made, that if I could go back, and it probably would have made me a better player faster. You know what I mean? I would have become better quicker, because I would have been building muscle memory by warming up. So that's the biggest mistake I made. But the other ones, I made all of the other ones, probably 3 and 4 times a day. So yeah, there you go. So cue the music, Ginger. We're gonna take off, and we want to tell you how much we appreciate you being here with us at String Theory. There he is, Uncle Joe. We love being here with you. Wednesday night's our favorite night of the week. And don't forget the concert, not this coming Friday night, but next Friday night. I'll give you the exact date so you know that we're going to make an event, of course, around this. So it will be the 21st of August at 4 p.m. Atlantic time. Fiddle show with Kim and Skip Holmes. And possibly some other guests might show up. You just don't know. And that's about it. We love you. Thanks for being here. Thanks to Glenn Gotel, Boucher Guitars, Levy Straps, K&K Pickups, Fantasy Music in Halifax. Big shout out to you guys. And our new man up in London, Ontario. I forgot the name of the shop already. Sorry, I just found it about today. Strings Cafe and Guitar Shop. Really cool spot. Has a JP Cormier signature model up there for sale. Woohoo! All right, we love you. And just remember, for guitar players, the guy with the most at the end when he dies wins. See you next week.